last year. This one's knocked up. Bowers tips it to himself, and he'll score.
Snaps it anyway. Greer lobs it in the air. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State. Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the left. And that ball's floating in the air and picked up by Kendall Wright. Touchdown Bears. Here's a blitz, and Klubnik didn't see it coming. He got blasted by Kalen DeLuch, who has the ball and is heading toward the end zone.
What is going on, guys? It is the newly rebranded College Football Talk with your hosts, Hunter and Dylan.
Good to be here.
As you can see, we had the new intro put in place. As you saw at the end, it says College Football Talk with Hunter and Dylan. New logo, new YouTube homepage, all of that. The content stays the same. But I feel like we, as a podcast, wanted to get away from less of the biased name it could feel for some people. And be a more neutral group, but still, we're still the same.
We're not going to change who we are or how we cover the sport in any way. For any returning viewer or listener, this is going to feel exactly the same.
Yeah,
you won't even feel a change in episode. Like, to you, this will feel like just another recap episode. So, but to returning to brand new listeners, this should be an easy jumping on point to understand, like, this is not a just Florida State and Georgia bias coverage where we only cover the two schools. This is the whole sport.
Yes. It's always been the whole sport. But, to somebody, it might be, no, you're just crapping on teams and talking about your own teams. No, we're not. We'll talk about our teams.
Yeah.
And I will be as unbiased and, critical as to Georgia as I am to Kentucky, Florida, to Florida State, to Clemson. I don't care. I'm gonna speak my opinion. Dylan's gonna speak his opinion, and that's gonna be it. It's gonna be it. Nothing changes. Nothing changes, guys.
Yeah, no change. It is kind of funny. The first episode with the rebrand, I think we're probably gonna go pretty hard on the one team. Me and him both have a little bit of a bias against, but it's not our fault. It's the school. It's the team's fault.
Yeah, exactly. But as you know, stuff doesn't change. We are still on the road to 100 subscribers, guys.
Yep.
100 subscribers. We're at 61. 39 away. We need subscribers, guys. We are trying to build up.
Yeah.
We need your help. So subscribe. If you're not listening, if you're listening and watching and you're not subscribed, that's just mean.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
Unnecessary. Come on.
Yeah.
Be real.
Come on.
Be real. Come on.
What do you mean? What else do you have better to do? Just hit that subscribe button, hit that big thumbs up next to it, and then you feel good about yourself. You did something for the community.
Exactly.
Just subscribe, continue to watch, and if you're listening on podcasts, Spotify is where we're at. That's where our main stable's at. So make sure you're hitting us up there. We got a nice week 5 recap.
Yeah.
And we're going to get right into a lot of good games this weekend, Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
You were feeling good, though, because you didn't have to worry about your team.
No, yeah, it was for me as a Florida State fan, it was a very easy weekend. Didn't have to stress about, an overtime matchup on the road or anything like that. I just got to relax, watch the fun game. I got to watch the chaos around.
You watched your best win of the season turn into another loss. So,
hey, they're still ranked.
I don't know how.
Hey, man. Not my fault, all right? That's on the AP.
All right, but we'll hop right into it. Georgia, top-ranked Bulldogs, still number one. Didn't think they would be. Excuse me. after this week.
Yeah.
But they remain number 1. But they head to Jordan-Hare to play their rival Auburn in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. It was the 128th meeting. I apologize. I believe I said the 129th last week. So 128th. First road game for the Dogs. They had to play their first 4 games at home. So that meant first road game for Carson Beck as the starter. Remember, this is only his 5th game starting, and it's his first real road test. And boy, oh boy, it was a 4-quarter fight. I wasn't completely surprised because of how Georgia played once again. Also, combinate that with the fact that Auburn, played that, backs against the wall, nothing to lose, like come out firing, and that's pretty much what they did. I mean, Jordan-Hare was rocking, as it always is when that place is alive. This is why I get super nervous when we go there, because it's like, oh man, yeah, it's just you get nerves thinking about it because how rowdy and just like scary that place is. I did not know this. Fun fact for you today. Would do a padlock stat, but that's somebody else's mantra, so we're not going to steal that. Fun fact for you: entering Saturday, the last 5 number 1 teams in the country had all lost heading into Auburn.
I saw that stat too. I was very shocked by that number.
Very shocked. That included 6 years ago, Georgia, the number 1, got their butts whooped. Anyway, you avenge that and beat them. But so, you have all that going against you. The slow start, what happened again on Saturday? Because what did I say? I said if Georgia if they want to mess around and walk out lethargically and sleepwalk, they can do that, and now they will find themselves in a game. And again, you do not want to get the crowd involved, and they did. They fell behind early, 10-0.
Yep.
It was a combination of Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne. Carson Beck threw an early pick. It was a play right before that he missed a deep ball that would have been a touchdown to Oscar Delp. Next play throws a pick where he kind of overthrew it a tad, and it went just to the right enough of Rosemary Jack Saint, got picked off, and it's just like, oh no. Like the only thing that can hurt, the only thing who will beat Georgia is themselves. Yeah. There is not a better team on their schedule that will beat them. So the only team that will beat them is themselves, and that's what they did early.
It was exactly what we had talked about. That we were scared that, if Georgia goes into Jordan-Hare and struggles early, it could get messy quick. And what happened? Georgia went into Jordan-Hare, struggled early, it got messy very quickly. Auburn came out, I think it was 10-0 at one point early in the game.
10-0 going into the second quarter.
Yeah.
Auburn won the first quarter. Georgia took the second quarter and tied it up going into half. But then Auburn came right out. Well, shocker, because Georgia fumbled the ball first play into the drive on the third quarter. Sets up Auburn for a touchdown. And then, Georgia storms back 98 yards. Talking about a statement drive. And I thought that the biggest thing I took away, 2 things, was, Carson Beck, this is his first game on the road, as I mentioned. And, you wonder as a new quarterback, like first real road SEC team, a game, is the hostile environment going to get to him? What's it going to happen if he makes a mistake?
Yeah.
And what I saw was someone that made poised, big time throw after big time throw every time it was needed. That 98-yard drive, that was just one of the more impressive drives I've seen recently from this team. Carson Beck went 23-33. He threw for over 300 yards, a touchdown. He had the pick. He averaged almost 10 yards a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about, this is his first real road start, and he's going out and really taking control and not leaving any doubt. out there. He got McConkey back, which was big
Yep.
because he made a couple big time third down conversions. Brock Bowers, best player in college football, as I continue to say. He 8 receptions, 157 yards and a touchdown, which would ended up being the go-ahead game-winning one. Man, he's something else.
He's a future first-round pick, probably a top 5 pick.
Oh,
at the current rate he's going, I mean, he's probably the best tight end prospect we've ever seen.
He has to be a Heisman candidate. Has to be.
Yeah, I think the only thing that will hurt him is the amount of great quarterbacks this year.
Because it's a quarterback award. It's not the overall player. It's a quarterback award. They need to adjust it to being a quarterback award if they're just going to continue to bring quarterbacks in. Because, quarterback, this is a different topic for a different day, but it's like.
Well, it's just quarterbacks, you get so many more opportunities.
Well, yeah, because you're the one. It's like playing first base. You're always going to have or playing pitcher or catcher. You're getting the ball. You're being interactive with the play every time.
Yeah.
Whereas, possession players, you get it.
Your second baseman or your.
It's only if you're open and you get it.
Yeah.
But what he does, line him up in the backfield. He ran a ball yesterday.
Yep.
He rushed yesterday for a play. Yeah, he had 1 carry, but that was a third down conversion. He put him in the backfield. You put him out wide. You put him on the line to block. I mean, he can do it all. If they need him to play quarterback, he could probably play quarterback. He can do it all.
Yeah,
he needs to be in New York. That's that. Back to the game. What I really was that Beck stayed poised, under control, didn't make any doubt throws. It was just firm laser beams wherever he needed to do, and ended up being a big reason why they won.
Yeah. I think I don't think Georgia played bad. My only thing with them is that I really do question if they are the best team in the country, though. Because we've seen it with the past 3 weeks. Their defense isn't as strong as the last couple of years.
No, they lack in the rushing game. They can't. They have a hard time getting. They have a hard time getting pressure on the quarterback. They entered yesterday, they should have had more success getting pressure on the Auburn quarterback tandem.
Yeah,
I mean, they had 3 sacks, but I feel like they could have had more. They didn't do a good job at all containing the quarterback on the rushing.
Yep.
The secondary is inconsistent on the cornerbacks. The safeties are fine. Bullard is remarkable, and Tyke Smith is good. But they moved Tyke Smith more to the cornerback spot. They put Malachi, and they mix up Malachi Starks and Tyke Smith at that corner spot. They leave Bullard there. But, Auburn picked on Dalen Everett a little bit yesterday or Saturday. Dalen Everett made 2 huge plays, though. One of them would have been a first down and goal, but he not punched the ball out right when he was coming down with it, which he saved a huge play. So he did get picked on some, but he made 2 big-time plays.
Yeah, my only thing with their defense this year is, especially playing against Auburn, that, they give up the most points Auburn's scored against any Power 5 opponent this year. Cal kept them to less. A&M kept them to less.
Yeah,
I do think that obviously Auburn put out everything they could do to try
playing
to win
at home. Playing at home. It is when the number 1 team comes to your stadium. You're gonna get the crowd involved. You're gonna give them your best shot. And I think that's what Georgia took, their best shot.
Yeah. I do think it's a little startling that Cal played them harder. That Cal kept them.
To be fair, Auburn hurt themselves in that game. They turned the ball over, I think, 4 times.
Yeah.
And Cal should have won that game. They missed 3 field goals. So, there's 2 sides to that. A&M outplayed them. But that was but you play in College Station, that's a tough place to play for anybody. Bama's going to find out this weekend, I think. But I don't think Auburn played bad.
No, I think Auburn played pretty well. I do think that overall, I don't think Auburn is a good team, though, if you understand what I'm saying.
This will be one of
they
Hugh
played
Freeze's
as
worst teams.
yeah.
But
I don't think Hugh Freeze is the guy personally.
I think he needs another year. Remember, this is more still like last year's team still coming.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So I think
I
you get him
absolutely agree with
another
you there.
year.
Yeah.
Get him a quarterback that can actually play
Mhm.
quarterback, and we'll
Yeah.
see.
I just don't know if Hugh Freeze, because Auburn is a program which expects to win the SEC and national championships, right? Like, I mean, we can debate on whether they really are that or not, but that's what the expectation inside the
What's the
building
expectation
is.
for it?
No, well, I think some places like Ole Miss, the expectation is if you can make us competitive, make us a couple of upsets a year, that's fine. If Lane Kiffin does what Lane Kiffin's done this year, last year, every year till he retires, he'll never get fired or be in danger of being fired.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like at a place like Auburn, they expect greatness. It's why
Well,
they fired Malzahn, who, I mean, most years he was still a 10-win, 8-win,
I think
decent bowl game coach.
I think they do that because they see what Bama's doing, and they're
Hmm.
like, "Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
We're in the same state. We're
Hmm.
SEC, same division. Like, where's our results?"
Yeah.
I do think Freeze is another year or two away.
Hmm.
Like they have not a bad squad. They didn't make any adjustments to keep Bowers contained, which was shocking.
Yeah.
Because every third down, it was going to McConkey or Bowers, and they still couldn't stop it.
Hmm.
Now that you could look at that and be like, "Oh, well, Bowers is just Bowers," but still, it's
Yeah.
like, really? As an Auburn fan, you could be like, "Come on." This is the fifth or sixth game now against a Power 5 team that Auburn has failed to throw for over 100 yards. They finished with
Yeah.
90. Was it 90? Or,
I,
excuse me, 88 yards passing.
yeah, 88 yards. It was 94 last week, I think.
Georgia threw for 313.
Yeah.
That'll do it for you.
Hmm.
But Auburn rushed for 219 yards. It's the first time a Georgia defense has given up over 200 yards rushing since 2018 when LSU did it.
Yeah.
And that was at LSU. That was a loss.
Hmm.
It was one of the first. Yes, Saturday was one of the first games that Kirby Smart won, where they trailed. A Kirby Smart led team trailed by double digits after one quarter to play, the first quarter.
Yeah.
But I do like how, as close as these games are and sleepwalk these Georgia team is,
Hmm.
it appears. I think that they're finding their way still. New OC,
Yeah.
new quarterback. Injuries have plagued them so far this year. Like they're just
Hmm.
getting back people healthy.
Yeah.
So you're still figuring this thing out. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Hmm.
you look at that and you're like, okay, 5-0. You're basically your freshman quarterback in a sense, like just went on the road, one of the most hostile places in the country,
Hmm.
and played his tail off.
Yeah.
Won a game. They came back. They build that kind of that comeback muscle where it's like, okay, we're not going to panic if we're losing because you know what? We've been there. Down 14-3 at half to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Tied at 10, down 10 to Auburn at Auburn. Going
Hmm.
into half, down 17-10 going into the third. Needed 98-yard drive. Down at the 2. Need a drive. Got
Yep.
it.
Hmm.
Like that builds something later on this year because now you look at this is probably not going to be the same team we're talking about in November when they're playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
I bet you this is not. If it
Hmm.
is, okay. It is what
Then
it
I think
is.
it's another discussion. Then if this is the same team we're looking at later down the line, I think where it's
I think you're going to see improvement
Mhm.
continuing to progress. I think it's just a progression that's just going to take some time. They're good enough to win games, so that's not the issue. It's just going to be
Yeah.
more of getting everyone back, getting everyone to sync, and then ready to roll.
Hmm.
So, um, one
And
like
well, yeah, I
I
think
mean,
yeah.
one more other stat here. I was just going to do.
Yep.
What was it? Auburn rushed for 5 yards a carry, 43 runs. By the way, rant time. Not a long rant, just a rant. If you are
Yep.
a 2 quarterback system, what are we
Mhm.
doing? What are we doing?
I would say if you got two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback.
Pick a quarterback. That's just being cowardly. God, I mean,
I think
seriously,
it's just a sign they don't know what they're doing.
it's like almost like if I'm one of the quarterbacks, I'm almost pissed off about it because it's like, why don't you trust me to just go out?
Yeah, if I was one of those quarterbacks, I'd be like, I need to transfer out of here. Like I'm not going to succeed when my coach is only letting me throw enough to get under 100 yards a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what are we
it's
doing, dude?
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just pick a guy and stick with it. And I think that also killed Georgia yesterday because it's like you're practicing for one guy and then they keep throwing out another guy and then they run the same play, but it's like a different type of guy. And
Yeah.
But Georgia gets a win. They get Kentucky this week.
Mhm.
We'll talk
Big
about
game.
Kentucky later.
I would say, yeah, we'll
Huge
talk about that
game.
more on Thursday. I think, one of the big things we talked about before the season was Georgia not getting enough, big home night games.
They
And
get
bam,
they
this
get
is
third night game already, Dylan. You know why? Because
I know.
we respect it. By the way, they still have ranked teams. This is for everyone out there that says their schedule is weak. First of all, look at Michigan. Second of all, remaining games. Number 2, ranked Kentucky, undefeated.
Yep.
Then they have Vanderbilt. Then you get Florida.
Yep.
Who was just ranked. Then
Probably
you
shouldn't
get
have been though, if we're being honest with ourselves.
well. Then you get Missouri.
Yep.
Ranked and undefeated.
Mhm.
Then you get Tennessee, 1 loss, ranked.
Yep.
Then you get Ole Miss, 1 loss, ranked. Then you get Georgia Tech, who just lost to Bowling Green, so we don't count them. They are another loss from being demoted to FCS, so that's all I need to care about them.
I'm not gonna go crazy on talking about them because they're not important. But I do think, give it a couple years, Georgia Tech could be an 8-win team.
No.
Okay.
Anyway. Alrighty, next game. Ole Miss.
Yep.
What a game this was. What a game. Ole Miss outlasts the LSU Tigers 55-49. I mean, this was 31-28 going into halftime.
Yep.
Fun fact time. Or, we got to think of a cool name for stats. Like,
we can't use padlock because that's taken.
That's Pate State material. Shout out, late kick, Josh Pate. We got to think of something. CFT stat. Now, we got to think of something cool. Like, we'll think of it.
Yeah,
anyway,
we got time. We got time to think about it.
Stat for you. Combined over 1,000 yards of total offense in this game. Ole Miss, 706 total yards.
Yeah.
Jalen Daniels had over 500 yards himself. And both teams averaged 10 yards a pass. Ole Miss had 11 penalties for 121 yards. Still won. Both teams had over 30 first downs.
Yep.
Ole Miss was 2 of 3 on fourth down. Both teams were 50% or higher on third down. And both teams averaged 6 yards a carry. Ole Miss ran for 317 yards on the ground.
Yeah. I'd say Judkins had 177 yards himself. Big day. Huge
day. Jaden Daniels was a yard away from rushing for 100 yards and throwing for over 400 yards. Jackson Dart had 26 completions for 389 yards and 4 tuds.
Yep.
He also rushed for seven carries for 50 yards. So he had over 400 yards in total offense. Talk about no defense. Ole Miss, 2 guys, both teams had over two receivers over 100 yards receiving. Brian Thomas had 8 catches for 124, 3 tuds. Like, just what an absolute offensive onslaught. Defenses are just not there anymore.
Yeah, very poor defense. I was going to say, I think it's most shown by, LSU giving up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone.
Not good.
Yeah, they gave up 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I mean, not
Ready?
the kind of day you're hoping for. It's a
You ready?
bad loss for Brian Kelly. What were you gonna say?
Here's the first. I'm just looking. Here's your first
Mhm.
down or first half summary
Yeah.
by drive. Touchdown, punt.
Mhm.
For this is going in order.
Yeah.
Ole Miss had the ball first.
Mhm.
Touchdown, LSU punt. Ole Miss punt. LSU fumble. And now here we go. Ole Miss touchdown. LSU touchdown. Ole Miss touchdown. LSU touchdown. Ole Miss touchdown. You guess it. LSU touchdown.
Oh yeah.
Ole Miss field goal. LSU touchdown. Ole Miss punt. Turnover rundowns. That was just first half.
Mhm.
And then, Ole Miss actually almost screwed themselves at the end of the game. They scored with like 40 seconds left. They could have just ran the ball and taken a knee and then kicked a field
Yeah.
goal. But instead, LSU went down the field and almost won it. Like that would have been the perfect cap to a absolutely abysmal showing of defense for
Yeah.
neither team to like ever actually want to win. But I think let's focus on Ole Miss first.
Yeah.
Kiffin gets his win
Yep.
that we were talking about. Like he needed a win and he finally got one.
Mhm.
And I don't care what LSU's record is. It's
Yeah.
LSU and he struggles against LSU. He has
Mhm.
yet to beat LSU and he finally
Yeah.
gets it done. The crowd was great. The game was awesome. He finally got his big time win. And now Ole Miss is 4-1. 1-1 in conference play. And they're right there in the thick of it in the SEC West.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. No, I mean it was absolutely fantastic win for especially Lane Kiffin. I mean, we literally talked about last week if he's ever even beaten a ranked opponent. Like that's just that's his image at Ole Miss is that he is the king of beating up on teams that are worse than them. Is that, if there's a team that's equal or better than them, they're not competing. They're just gonna sit down and let them run over them. That's what we
Yeah.
had talked about. That's what Ole Miss's identity was. And they, I think they took it to heart. They took the Alabama game to heart and they said, all right, let's go out and let's do this. They were, I mean, they couldn't be stopped on offense, really. I mean, what was it? One punt? They had one punt, no turnovers, 32
For
first downs, 760 yards of total offense.
if you can't as a defense give up 700 yards of total offense.
Yeah. See, and that, that's the stat, Ole Miss only gave up 637.
It's bad.
I mean,
It's
obviously,
bad.
Ole Miss does not have a good defense. I don't think anybody would argue they do have a good defense. They did get a turnover, which,
Did you see the hit that jarred that fumble?
yes, I did. Yep.
That was big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
It is funny that with a minute and 8 seconds, LSU had a 70% chance of winning the game.
That would not surprise me because that's how crazy
Yeah.
of a game that was.
Yeah.
Where neither team had any business actually winning it, but it was like, give us more of this. Like I
Yeah.
could have gone another game with it, another quarter or two.
Mhm.
Some people are like, this game is actually boring because there's another team to stop. I'd like low scoring games. Shut up.
Come on.
Shut up.
Offense is fun.
Offense is
Don't
fun.
you like Madden?
Would you rather watch 55-49, neither team could
Mhm.
stop each other, and just see who could score the ball last? Or would you rather watch a 17-14 barn burner?
Yeah.
No.
Come on.
Give me the touchdowns. Give me the touchdowns. Give me the points.
Me too.
All about points, guys.
Just a day for good things for Ole Miss. In the middle of talking about it, I just realized Ole Miss has a player named Ulysses Bentley IV.
They have some sweet names on their team.
That's an awesome name. Ulysses Bentley IV. I wish I could meet 1 through 3.
I bet they're all great people.
That's what I'm saying. Like they gotta be funny guys.
Like all great. All great.
But fantastic win. Like absolutely fantastic win for Ole Miss. obviously a lot of people are probably going to criticize their defensive showing, but to me, if you can outshoot anybody,
Yeah,
come on,
and
a win's a win.
that's Ole Miss's identity. They're a
Yeah.
offensive first team.
Hmm.
One quick thing I want to say about LSU is, you know, you bring Brian Kelly in to get a big win, to
Yeah.
be like one of the top teams in the league.
Hmm.
Jane Daniels is playing one of his best seasons so far. Like
Yeah.
he's had a solid year this year. He goes out and has himself over 500 yards of total offense.
Hmm.
They put up 49 points. I'm thinking as I'm watching this, I'm like, there is no reason ever a team should lose and you score
Yeah.
49 points and lose.
Hmm.
No reason for it ever.
Yeah.
And LSU's defense, again, they bring in a bunch of transfers.
Hmm.
There was questions about their depth and would they all work out? And they haven't. And that's who they are. Their defense,
Yeah.
their secondary is liable and not good. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback.
Hmm.
Harold Perkins, I don't know where he went to. Mason Smith, I don't know where they all went to. They didn't do anything.
Hmm.
They did not do anything as a defensive. They had, let's make sure I can get this right. Where are we at? Oh, yeah, here we are. No sacks. They only had 6 tackles for loss. Can't have it.
Yeah.
It's just not good. It's not good enough. And in a team that has to go still and play Missouri, they got to go to
Yeah.
Missouri this week.
Hmm.
And are we sure they're going to win that game? I don't know. They got to go to Missouri. They're a 6.5 point favorite, which is a lot, I think. Then you get Auburn,
Hmm.
Army. Then you got Bama, Florida.
Yeah.
Georgia State, and then you got A&M. So you're not out of it yet, and now you got 2 losses already.
Yeah. I do think that LSU is good enough that they could still win out with this
They
schedule.
could. Their
I
offense is
think
plenty good enough. It's the defense.
yeah, and I do think Ole Miss it will be the best offense they'll face for the rest of the season.
Well, the way
I
that secondary's playing, anybody can
Yeah.
look like that.
Yeah,
I
well,
tell
I
you
do
right.
think I think they man, yeah.
I mean, Brady Cook is going to he's going to look like Tom Brady out there Saturday if that's what they want to play like.
I mean, I guess we'll see though because they made Mississippi State look like a joke on offense just 2 weeks ago.
Well, if you ask anybody, any LSU fan, they'll tell you they're not concerned about the offense. The offense is fine.
Yeah.
The offense is averaging. I mean, they're averaging on offense. What are they averaging a game? They're averaging. I'd have to look it up. But I mean, if you look at, they've scored
They're averaging like 30 points a game.
49, 34, 41, 72, 24.
Yeah.
The
They're
points are
averaging
there.
like 30 points a game on offense.
The points
which
are
is,
there.
Like that's the most you can ask for in an
Against
offense. Give me 30 points a game.
Against Power 5 teams, 45 points given up.
Yeah.
14 given up. 31 and 49. What did we say going into this game? It was going to be KJ Jefferson used his legs and ran all over this team and was able to be mobile and keep Arkansas on it. Jackson Dart is a much more mobile quarterback and did that too. Was able to make plays, get the ball down the field, and take advantage of that secondary. So
yeah,
they
and two LSU's give them the benefit of the doubt. They do get a lot of their harder games at home for the rest of the season. They get Auburn at home. They get Florida at home. They get A&M at home. The only game they have to travel for is Alabama and Missouri. So they play Missouri, Alabama, and then they don't have a single other away game.
They might lose this weekend. I'm not even joking.
I mean, I don't know.
They might.
Because, I mean, they could just turn around and play like they did against Mississippi State.
They could. But
yeah, I mean,
Missouri is a much better team than Mississippi. Mississippi State is a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
So, but we're not talking about Mississippi State.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is that it's hard to predict right this second what's going to happen. I want to get, wait till Thursday, have a little bit of time to soak in everything. But
Mhm. All right. We're going to move on, though,
Yep.
to a game that I said
Mhm.
very close, very close. Colorado versus USC. USC holds off Colorado after a
Yeah.
late storm, like a late surge,
Mhm.
by the Buffalo. They lose 48-41. Cover. I predicted 48-38.
Yeah.
Ended up being 48-41. Colorado was a covered onside kick away from probably going into tying that game because once again, as I tale as old as time, guess who can't play defense?
That's the weird thing though, is
Can't
because
play defense.
for the first two quarters, their defense completely dominated Colorado. Colorado couldn't do anything at all. They couldn't stop them when USC was on offense, and when
It
Colorado
was
was on offense, they couldn't move the ball at all.
34-7 at one point. It was a
Yeah.
27-point game.
Yep. And that's what I was gonna say.
27-point game. And you know what happened? Colorado had 564 yards total offense.
Mhm.
Are
Well,
you serious?
I was gonna say, and it all happened in the third quarter because to start the third quarter, USC went up 41-14.
I mean, do you think they just took the foot off the pedal?
They did. I would say if you really look at it, they stopped throwing the ball,
Well,
and that's USC's bread and butter. They don't have a great running game, so when
they
they
have
took
decent enough backs to run the ball.
I mean,
They only rushed for 95.
yeah,
And that's against a piss poor Colorado defensive line.
but they can't. They can't run the ball.
Colorado rushed for $193.
Mhm.
What in
They
the world?
they were able to, score points off Caleb Williams' first interception of the season. Then, they went for 2 points at the end of the third for no reason at all. I still don't get why they did that.
I was watching more of the what was I watching more? Like Florida, Kentucky on one screen, the big screen,
Yeah.
and then I had this game on computer screen of mine.
Mhm.
And watching this, it was just like Caleb Williams is playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
He had another wonderful day.
Mhm.
He had 6 touchdowns, over 400 yards, 403 yards. Another just great day for him.
Yeah.
But the issue is, again, this USC team, they still have to play Notre Dame. They get to
Yep.
play Utah. They got to
Mhm.
play Washington. They got to play
Yeah.
Oregon. They got to play UCLA. I'm gonna tell you right
Yeah.
now, Oregon and Washington might be getting arrested for some sort of war crime for what they're
Mhm.
about to do to that defense.
Yeah. See, but I think the only thing is that
No.
USC's offense will be able to keep up because they can
This is
score at will against anybody.
what happens when Oregon's defense, which is 100 times better than that
Mhm.
Colorado defense or any
Yeah.
defense they're going to play. What happens when they play Utah when Cam Rising's back? Because Cam Rising's going to be back
Mhm.
after their bye week.
Yeah.
What happens when they play Oregon, whose defense is very good,
Mhm.
and they can't do anything for some reason? And but their defense can't bail them out because they suck.
Yeah.
And Oregon,
but
who comes
that's
in
where I was.
averaging
Yeah.
56 points a game, is going to put 80 on that team.
That's the thing is though, is I really do think nobody is going to stop their offense. Their offense is better this year than it was last year when he won the Heisman Trophy.
And
Like Caleb
just
Williams
like last year,
he's like 26. He has 21 touchdowns to 1 interception, 26 total touchdowns.
they played San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, and Colorado.
It doesn't matter. They put 40 on every single team they play.
Because they
put up
should,
56,
because they're not
66,
playing
56,
anybody.
42, 48. It doesn't matter who they play. They could play the 85 Bears. They're still putting up points.
They are not putting up
They
40
score
on the Bears.
they score at will against everybody they play.
And so guess
you
what?
can look at the
And
numbers.
so is Notre Dame, Arizona, Utah, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are all going to do the same thing. Michael Penix and Bo Nix are going to throw for 800 yards against this defense. This defense is atrociously bad.
Mm-hmm.
Missed tackles, not getting pressure,
Yeah.
a turnover occasionally. The second Williams gets banged up, can't bail him out or do anything, they are going to lose. And they are going to lose to Oregon. They're going to lose to Washington. They might lose to Utah. And they might lose to UCLA. They won't lose to UCLA. They're going to lose to Notre Dame because Notre Dame beats them at home. They got to go to Utah's coming to town, and they're going to beat them. They're going to lose to Oregon when they go to Oregon. And Washington, Michael Penix is going to go in there and freaking throw 600 yards against him. I think I said 800. So he's going to throw 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. And that might be a great game because Washington gave up 24 to back to Arizona with a backup quarterback in. So, but I tell you right now, they have issues that are not solved. How Lincoln Riley still has any faith in that DC of his is beyond me. Says after the game, I have full faith in him.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like my issue with the Steelers with Matt Canada. Then we keep protecting him. It's like, get rid of the problem. The problem is him. He can't do his job well. The results aren't there. And it's going to screw your team again with one of the best teams you've had since like 05 and 06. So figure it out. And they're not going to be able to.
I mean, here's the thing. I do think you're freaking out more than it really is.
Speaking
because here's the thing. Utah, I think, has deeper problems than just they need Cam Rising back. Their offense is horrible.
No, it's their quarterback. They don't have anybody playing quarterback. Nate Johnson struggled. Bryson Barnes got taken to the hospital. They played an Oregon State team that was going to win that game. And that was like that pesky backs against your wall, had to win. Keep your season alive. They won. So, I mean, that was a tough place to play. But Utah has one of the best defenses in the country in the Pac-12. Utah is only allowing 67 yards and only little over 200 yards passing. I mean, here we go. USC's allowing on defense 150 yards rushing and over almost 300 yards through the air a game. You think that's going to be good enough to beat Oregon? You think it's going to be good enough to beat Washington? No, it's not. We'll see. They're going to lose.
I think they beat Notre Dame.
They do not beat Notre Dame.
I think they beat Notre Dame.
Do you want to place a wager on this one? We'll place a wager on this one.
I'm not placing a wager on our show, but I do.
Because you're scared. You're scared. It's okay.
I think, I think they go to Notre Dame, and I think they still put up 40 points.
There is not a shot in hell they put 40 up on Notre Dame's defense. No way did they put 40 up on them.
I think they could do it.
No
Their offense
chance.
is so good.
There is not a chance. You should put your money where your mouth is with that one. Not a shot in hell. They put 40 up on Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defense is only allowing what? They've only allowed their most points they've allowed was 24 to NC State.
Yeah. But
they kept Ohio State's offense to 17.
USC's offense is better than all those teams.
No.
Yes, they are.
Ohio State would have.
USC has a better offense than
Ohio State last year. With CJ Stroud,
would
have put 100 points on that defense.
Kyle McCord is not CJ Stroud.
Kyle McCord is capable enough to putting up points up on that defense. That defense is going to cause them to lose 2 games this year.
Okay, I'm not talking about Ohio State versus USC. I'm
talking about in general.
I'm saying that USC is going to put up points against every single team they play this year.
They will, because Caleb Williams is one of the best players in the country. He'll probably be another Heisman runner-up again. But that defense, you can't win the ball on offense. You can score 50 points. Ask LSU how that happened, how that worked out this week. You can put 49 up, but guess what? When you're allowing 55, like Ole Miss did.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there's going to be these games where we're going to say Washington and USC play each other, right? And we're going to give Washington the advantage because of defense, but it's going to end up being a shootout anyways because USC's offense
and that's fine. But guess who's going to make the more stops? Guess who's going to make the most stops?
What I'm saying is that nobody's making stops.
Oh,
I'm
there will
saying
be a stop,
USC's
and it'll
offense
be
is
more
good enough to
Washington.
overcome its defensive woes.
Notre Dame will hang 35 on that defense and win.
And USC will still win.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
Sam Hartman is going to light that team up like a firecracker on the 4th of July.
I mean,
Just
we'll
get ready.
see. We're gonna see.
I don't understand how you are defending this USC team.
Because I've seen this team score so many points,
and I've
against
seen them
anybody.
get their ass clapped by Utah, who was far not as good as they are offensively. And I've seen them rush 300 yards against that team.
One time, they got beat bad, and that's enough. You're done. No, because it was a close game.
Utah's awful offense put 45 on them twice last year, I think.
But here's the thing: that offense has not played this year. Cam Rising has not
Cam
played
Rising
this year.
hasn't played. When Cam Rising steps back in, what do you think's going to happen?
I will see. He hasn't.
They're going to be
played.
fine. He's
He
warmed
hasn't
up. He
played.
takes practice. He's been splitting the first team reps with Nate Johnson.
I mean, we'll see when it happens. But
He will
his
be
first
fine.
game will probably be against USC.
They're going to be fine. They have, let's see, Utah. How do we get to Utah? Utah they're on bye. Then they got Cal. Then they got Cal.
Yeah.
A tune-up for my man, Cam Rising, before USC, Oregon.
Well, that's when they hope to get him.
No, I think
he hasn't been cleared.
Well, he has been cleared, but I mean, he's been rumored that he's going to play the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, there's something up with him.
I think they were waiting to.
He was supposed to start.
Well, I think they were waiting.
5 weeks, 6 weeks in now, and he's.
I think they were waiting till the bye week to officially say, "Listen, you're good."
Yeah.
You're good.
No, I you don't agree with me, and it's whatever. You know, I mean, I'm not going to fight you for it, but I do.
You're not going to fight because you know you're not going to win, and that's okay. It's okay. As far as Colorado goes, love the fight. Shedeur Sanders is off the charts, and when he comes back next year, look out. Soon they are a line of scrimmage on both sides of the football away from being very good. They need to improve their secondary some, but you know, Colorado they were not supposed to win either one of these games they played. This USC Oregon. I think they have Arizona State next, so they should win. I would put my faith into Colorado to win that game, but you know, to keep up with a top 10 team like USC, regardless of how bad the defense is, you know, you're still got to put points up, and they did. You know, they made USC worry, I think, a little bit. You know. Yeah. So
I do think it was a little bit too late for Colorado, and horrible clock management there on that last drive.
Yeah.
That was why they lost that game. I mean. With the way they ran that drive, they didn't even have a chance.
They rushed the ball a couple times.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense the game plan on it because you're trying to score twice in under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Why would you
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, this is what we thought USC was going to be. It is what USC is. They're going to put points on everybody.
And they're going to give up a lot of points.
I still think they win 10 games.
No.
I think they win. I mean, look at it right now. I think they split.
That is the ceiling.
Notre Dame, Utah, Washington, Oregon. Those 4 games, I think they split it.
The ceiling is 10 games. And that's an if.
I mean, but here's the thing. Second year, I don't think that's that bad for Lincoln Riley.
No, well, they are supposed with Caleb Williams and all the weapons, it's like you're supposed to be contending.
Yeah.
So,
but I think number 9 in the country. They're when they go to Notre Dame, you can't even buy a ticket. I mean, looking at it right now on ESPN, and it's $500 at the lowest. You know what I mean?
The Notre Dame games get real expensive real fast.
Yeah.
So.
Probably because it's like a big fan base, but a tiny stadium.
I need to go to a game there one of these days.
Yeah, maybe you're a billionaire, man.
Just get him early. Get him on Game Time. Oh man, that would have been a great sponsor.
Yeah, that would have been.
Right there,
that would have been game changing right there.
If we had them as a sponsor. Anyway, We're going to move on before we
Mhm.
keep getting into this USC rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Talk about Notre Dame, Duke, a
Mhm.
game that I think lost a little bit. Oh, man, I have the wrong score up. Oh, man, we can't have this, guys. Come on. Got to be better. Got to be
Yeah.
better. I don't know where 14-13 came in, but that's not the score. We're going to fix that. Apologize. Okay, we're back. Okay, so Notre Dame wins 21-14 as they go
Mhm.
to Durham, take on
Yep.
Duke. College Game Day was there. First time ever College Game Day was there for football. They've been there a bunch for basketball. But, Saturday night, Notre Dame comes in. Must win game for them if they want to keep their season alive. Against a Duke team that's undefeated.
Yep.
Made some noise early after the huge win against Clemson. Undefeated.
Mhm.
Playing well. Riley Leonard looks good. And then, it was just a hard-nosed fought game. I mean, Notre Dame went up early. I
Yep.
think it was 10-0 early. And then all of a sudden, Duke comes out of nowhere and takes the lead, outscores them going into the final drive,
Mhm.
14-3, goes up 14-13. But Notre Dame puts together a drive late and ends up winning it 21-14. And shout out to Riley Leonard, who got hurt on that last
Yeah.
drive. Looked not the best injury in the world. So hope
Mhm.
he's recovering well and get him back soon for the Devils. But for Notre Dame, I mean, they did what they needed to do. It wasn't going to be
Yeah.
pretty. I don't think they ever thought it was. They took down a pesky Duke team that is going to be an ACC contender. I think we'll see how they are now without Leonard, maybe. But
Yeah.
listen, I mean, that's a huge win to keep their season alive.
Mhm. No, I mean, I agree with you. I think it was a good win. I don't think either quarterback played particularly well in the game.
No,
Sam Hartman, 50% completion percentage, 222 yards.
did what
Riley
he needed
Leonard,
to do, though.
no, he did what he needed to do, but
Yeah, I mean, they did have. I mean, Evans for Notre Dame had over 130 yards receiving, so
yeah,
he had a nice day.
M. Evans.
Mike Evans,
Oh
Notre
yeah,
Dame on
baby.
Saturdays, Tampa for Sundays. We're just
But
teasing. It's Mitchell Evans.
Notre Dame got ahead with 30 seconds left on the clock. Notre Dame took the lead.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that was after the fourth. Was it fourth down and? Hold on. It was the 4th down and 16 run. Excuse me. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it.
yes, it was.
That play by Sam Hartman.
Hmm.
They're not in field goal range.
Yeah,
And Duke plays prevent after they blitzing and playing man to man the entire game,
hmm,
and they give him a room to run, and he
yeah,
will beat you with his legs if he has to, and he did there, and it sets up a. They would have just run the ball, clock out, and kicked the field goal, but
hmm,
uh, they ran the ball into the end zone instead. Oh, Duke was that close,
yeah.
But kudos to Hartman there. He played well. I mean, as good as he needed to be. Of course, he wants to have a better game, but
Yeah, no, I agree. But they did what they had to do to win there.
did with
I
that
mean,
exactly. That
yeah,
was a game they had to win. Like I said, I don't think they ever thought it was going to be a walk through the park game.
hmm,
Biggest game for Duke probably in their football program
yeah,
recently, and
ever. That's probably the biggest game ever, if we're being honest with ourselves.
probably.
I mean, that was the first time game day had ever been there. I think that was the first top 15 matchup where both teams were ranked for Duke
So
since the 80s at least.
to say that Duke was a bad 4th down play away from winning the game, a 4th
Yeah.
down stop away. So
Hmm.
they're good. Their
Yeah.
defense is really good. The offense is good. It does run through Leonard, and now Leonard's hurt. I don't know how much that's going to change it. It's going to change it significantly, just
Hmm.
because Riley
You
Leonard is
lose
just
your you
he's
lose your
such a
best player.
yeah, he's such a unique guy. Plays just the offense runs through him, and now he's
Yeah.
hurt. So I won't know the timetable. I'd assume he's going to be out for a game at
Yeah.
least. I don't know, but like I said, I just don't know the
It could
significance.
be one game. It could be several.
Yeah,
But if
but
they lose him for more than one game, I think
that's big.
that's they're about to get to the rough of their schedule too.
Yeah. Notre Dame, they have Louisville this week.
Mhm.
Louisville undefeated.
Yep.
They go to
Louisville
Louisville.
looked good.
They go to Louisville, who's undefeated. So that could be a big time trap game because you play
You know.
two. You have Ohio State and Duke to just clash the helmets together like
Yeah.
just gritty, tough games. And
Mhm.
now you get Louisville, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh man,
I
could be
do think
a spot, a weak spot right now.
I was gonna say if we're looking early, I know obviously on Thursday we'll do upset alert. That game has to be on there.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
big
I
time.
mean,
Louisville upset alert right there. Keep an eye
mhm.
on that. Especially, I mean, Notre Dame's a 6.5 point favorite right now, but I'm telling you, I think the Cardinals might pull a little trick up their sleeve.
Yeah. And speaking of the state of Kentucky, I think that's a great segue into the final game we need to talk about.
Wow, wow. What I mean,
Yeah, I know.
these
Thank you.
transitions
Thank you.
late,
I mean,
guys.
that was yeah. No, I had to think about it in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, get ready for this. But
Oh,
I'll give a quick rundown before we start. Kentucky wins 33-14 against Florida, number 22 in the country. What's the easiest way to start this game? Ray Davis had 280 rushing yards.
he had 206 in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, there's this was absolutely the worst game in the Billy Napier era for Florida. I think personally, I think this is worse than the Vanderbilt loss because um, a lot of what Billy Napier has been pushing and talking about for Florida is being very physical. And they were not physical in this game. Like they completely got pushed over, they got ran over, and they lose a third straight to Kentucky.
They fall to 1-5 under Napier on the road.
Yeah.
They haven't. I saw a list and I don't remember. They are under 5 wins on the road in road games or neutral site games
Mhm.
since like 2021.
Yeah.
Like not good. They allowed, where was it? Oh yeah, here it is. 9 yards a carry on defense. I mean, this is a defense that held Tennessee's
Mhm.
run first offense in check.
Yeah.
And they go to Kentucky, and Ray Davis makes them like look like they're playing Pee Wee ball. It's like that meme where that tall guy who says he's 11, he's like an adult. He just
Mhm.
plays with all the Pop Warner kids, and he's just shoving them around, picking them
Yeah.
up, throwing them around, and he's running in. That's what it looked like. Florida could not get off the field. And then they really
Mhm.
didn't do anything on offense. I mean, Graham Mertz played a solid game. I mean, if you do a quarterback comparison, I mean, Graham Mertz, 25
Yeah.
of 30. If I told you this, Graham Mertz, 25 of 30, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, did throw a pick. This is if you didn't watch the
Mhm.
game. And Devin Leary for Kentucky, 9 of 19, 69 yards and a touchdown. Who do you think would have
Yeah.
won? Just by
I
look
think
based off that.
by looking at the stats without explanation, you would immediately go Florida blew out Kentucky.
Oh yeah, 100%. But then you
But
look and you say,
yeah.
oh, the rushing stats, team stats.
Mhm.
Wait, checks notes again because he has to. 329 to 69?
Yeah.
What?
So
That's
I do want to say, I think Graham Mertz has revealed to us a terrible truth about himself. He is not a bad quarterback.
he's not.
However,
I
he's a
never
very
thought it was.
limited. He's a very limited quarterback.
He has to, as I said from the day they took the field against Utah.
Yeah.
They have to get a run game going.
Mm-hmm.
This team
I
is
think
not built
yeah.
to trail.
Mm-hmm.
It is a run first offense. And when you fall behind, you cannot. You got to go away. Teams will go away from what they're good at, or their tendencies. In this case, they will fall away from the run. They will make themselves predictable, which leads to turnovers. And in limited offense. We'll put it
Mhm.
like that.
I think the biggest problem though with Mertz at least is that he is the polar opposite kind of player to last year's quarterback Anthony Richardson, in that this guy will do. He averages what I think he has a 78% completion rating on this season.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, 79% completion rating. He, you know, will not make a lot of mistakes. He'll be very careful with the ball. He will not make any risk. He will not take any risk. He will not make any. He'll
And that's
if he
fine.
sees that's fine. But you're not if you need to lean on him to win games.
He hasn't showed
Yeah,
that yet.
he hasn't showed he could do that.
He hasn't showed it yet.
And
And I want to look. Go ahead.
yeah,
What were you say?
I was just gonna say is that if Florida can't rely on their running game for when we get to the harder parts of their schedule, when they have to go to LSU, they have to play Georgia, um, like when they play Florida, like this is just, I mean, they're not going to win those games
And
if they can't run the ball.
I was thinking about like that morning. It was Saturday morning. I'm eating
Hmm.
pancakes, drinking
Yeah.
coffee, having a great time. It's
Hmm.
wonderful. Excuse me. And I'm thinking, man, I'm like, Florida comes in a 1 point
Hmm.
underdog. It's a pick 'em game. If you look
Yeah.
on Vegas, pretty much both teams are in the minus department as far as money line goes. So
Hmm.
it's a pick 'em pretty much.
Yeah.
And you know, you're thinking Florida wins this 4-1.
Hmm.
You got Vanderbilt next week going into the bye.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, here we go. We got something here.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden no, wait, excuse me, sorry. They got Vanderbilt. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
at home, no big deal.
No worries. Yeah.
Then you got a South Carolina team that can't protect the quarterback,
Hmm.
very quarterback dependent on Rattler. You're like, okay, we might be 6-1 heading into the bye week before Georgia.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, another road loss. You get your tails clapped. You get out physical.
Hmm.
You can't stop the run. Another
Yeah.
special teams blunder. It's 16-0. They can't stop anybody. They
Hmm.
finally get a stop. It's fourth down. They're going to get the ball back in decent territory because Kentucky had the ball at their own 25.
Yeah.
And they get a personal foul called on the punt.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a roughing the punter. It was a personal foul for some knucklehead. And next play, Kentucky, Ray Davis touchdown, 75 yards.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing?
I mean,
It's just all of the momentum you built from the Tennessee win. You looked sluggish against Charlotte, but maybe it was a
yeah.
look ahead spot. Like, okay. And then you just get outmanned and out everything. It
Yeah.
was a
I think
gross game.
I think that's the best way to describe this team though. Is like this Florida team. If you look at their games, like if you look at
Away
their
from
schedule
home,
and their games,
they,
they can't win away from home. That
they
Billy Napier can't. He has won
I don't know
one
what.
road game as a head coach of the University of Florida. That's
And
embarrassingly
that was
bad.
against a 5-7, or if I recall,
A&M too.
A&M. Yep.
Hmm. That was
So
without their starting quarterback.
no,
I'm looking at this right now, and I'd like to think they can beat South Carolina on the road.
can
However,
they?
that's what I'm saying. Is now you go, well, if we're saying they can't win on the road, they have 3 more road games this season, and they play Georgia and Florida State. They play 2-5. They end their season with 3 ranked games. So
I
they go.
think they'll
They
still
play
be.
number 1 Georgia, then they
So
play Arkansas, then 23-21 number 5.
so I still think they'll beat Vanderbilt.
I
I
think I
think
did too.
they'll beat South Carolina because I think that they're able to defensively. They'll be able to contain him enough
Hmm.
to make them like lops. Just if you
Can they
take
run the
if you,
ball though?
I think they will be able to
If they
against.
can't run the ball, they lose.
That's
That's the
true.
best way.
And
If
again,
Florida can't run the ball, they're going to lose the football game.
when they held to double digit rushing yards as a team,
Hmm.
ETN and Montreal Johnson held in check.
Yeah.
Trevor Etienne 11 carries, 29 yards. Johnson, 10 carries, 42 yards. Like that can't be the recipe. The recipe is they run the ball and it balances out the passing game, which because it sets up play action and rolling out and getting Mertz on the run. If he wants to, then he can scramble, make plays like that way. When you shut the run down or you fall behind, you can't Mertz will not get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
And that's not on him. That's just the play scheme. That's just how the offense is run. It's run behind the two power backs behind you. But when you're down, when you're staring at a 30-7 deficit at half, well, oh shucks, you can't really run the ball much there because you got to come back.
Well, the problem is that I think the university needs to force Billy Napier to hire an offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator. Where is the changes going to be made?
Because there's no reason why on 3rd and long you run the ball for a 1-yard gain.
I watched some of the play calling, the 4th down play call. There was a 4th down play. And I want to find it as far as when it went. It was, here it is. 4th down.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's find it. 4th down and 4. Oh, you know what it was? They I think they punted. I don't remember. But it was 4th down and 1.
Yeah.
And instead of doing what every other team should do, which is get under the center, get your hands underneath his butt and pretty much underneath him. I know this is a show for kids, but get under there and just get ready for get the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't care how close you get up there. I want your hands basically touching those balls. And get 2 guys behind him and fucking, excuse my language right there, get the ball and push yourself over the line. Instead, what most teams like to do, which I don't know why, let's line up. If it's 4th and 1, let's go shotgun. Let's go shotgun because set yourself up 5 yards back. Because why not? That's just smart, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll pass, or even better, we'll get a penalty, which will draw us back. But we got to get the 4th down. So, oh well, now you got to go shotgun and throw the ball because you screwed it up. Teams just need to be smarter with the play calling, and maybe that takes an OC.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes an OC, and that's fine.
This
is going to be ask me if you're wrong here. Okay. Ask me if I'm see if you agree here with this. This is starting to become like a Florida fans. I feel like we're going to start to get to like that Jimbo Fisher, give up the play calling.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere as a program if you don't give up the play calling.
Yeah. And I think my question here is because they're not going to hire an offensive coordinator in the middle of the season.
Well, they're not.
And there's nobody to give up play calling to right now.
The team is what they are.
Yeah. The team is what they are right now. And my question is, at this current rate, because I think me and you both agree, there's a couple games on here.
I mean, they have LSU.
I think there's a good chance they lose. Of their last 5 games, they could lose 4 of the last 5.
I think they beat Vanderbilt. I think they beat South Carolina. That's a loss to Georgia. I think they can beat Arkansas because Arkansas' defense sucks. Oh man, that Arkansas.
They have to go to LSU after that.
They'll lose to LSU. They'll lose to Missouri. And Florida State, you never know because it's a rivalry game and it's at home. So that could change everything. So we won't. I'm not going to make a play there because I just don't know. Do I think Florida State on paper should win? Yes, but you never know these games. Yeah. So if we exclude that game and we look at just the remaining of their SEC games, I mean, 3-3 maybe. Now, 3 losses minimum.
My question is, does Billy Napier keep his job?
So I think he'll keep his job because that Tennessee game saved his ass.
Yeah.
It saved him. If he lost that, and he just what he did today, Saturday, man, that seed is burning.
Now, but my question is this: if they lose to South Carolina, LSU, Missouri, Florida State, obviously they lose to Georgia. If they lose those games and Billy Napier finishes the season with every road game a loss,
I think they will say 2 things. They're going to look at how many people decommit from from their recruiting class.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to, I think you have to say as the AD or the boosters, you got to be like, listen, we're going to let you go into next year as the coach
Yeah.
because we like where you're recruiting
Hmm.
so far. Can you keep the recruits? But
Yeah.
you need to hire somebody for play OC.
Yeah.
You need to give up your play calling and let somebody run the special teams.
Hmm.
You know how many teams they have? They as well on special teams. They had 13 guys on the field at one point, and Kentucky
Yeah.
scored a touchdown. They have
Mhm.
had numerous kicks blocked on special teams,
Yep.
multiple penalties that have cost them dearly on special teams.
Hmm.
Offensively, have looked when they are trailing in games, they look lethargic. They can't get anything going. Where does that? That's because what you have like 60 staff members is either A, good enough to be promoted
Hmm.
to OC or special teams coordinator. I have never heard of a team that doesn't have that has a defensive coordinator but doesn't have an OC or a special
Yeah.
teams coordinator. I've never heard of it. I've never
I
seen it.
just, man, I just,
Kirby Smart, who's one of the best defensive minds in the world, and
hmm
has a DC, has two DCs. Will Muschamp and Glenn
yeah.
Schumann split the role. He has an
Hmm.
OC. What do all the
Nick
good
Saban
coaches
has
have?
a DC.
All of the
Nick
great
Saban is
coaches,
one of the best defensive minds in history.
all of the
He's
great,
always had a DC.
all of the great coaches that have always had success
Hmm.
throughout college football have had a
Yeah.
special teams coordinator, a
Hmm.
DC, and an OC. You know who the
Yep.
teams that don't have good teams are and don't really have success by the end of the year? USC, Ole Miss, recently Texas.
Yeah.
Why? Because they lack a coordinator, which leads to lacking in discipline, which leads to
Hmm.
lacking in fundamentals, and arguably
Yeah.
poor defense of play.
Hmm.
So,
I
and
just,
you've seen it
man,
again with Florida. This is
I just,
again for
I mean, I just think there is a very realistic scenario where Florida wins 2 games on the rest of their schedule.
that Tennessee game saved him.
Hmm.
That gave him just enough life to stay for again.
I just don't know if he goes 5-7.
If they goes 5-7, they're gonna give him one more shot. And then they will
Yeah.
say now next year they have one of the toughest schedules in the
Hmm.
country.
Yeah.
One of the toughest. And so I don't know how you have to again. I could see a spot where he gets fired in the middle of the year next year if they
Hmm.
start off poorly. We're
Yeah.
assuming that if this year goes sideways real fast
Hmm.
and then leads into next year, he will be fired. Um,
Yeah.
that's just how I view it. I don't know how you view it, but
I just
I'm
I
looking
think I think if you're Florida, because with the way that program, not just like the football team, but just like the athletic department works there,
at oh man,
there's just very thin margins of error there.
yeah.
I mean, we can talk about it all we want, but
I mean, look at their schedule next year. Their schedule next year, they have Miami,
mhm,
Samford. Samford is their only non-Power 5 game they play.
yeah,
They have so excluding Samford, they get Miami, UCF, Georgia, Florida State, Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee,
mhm,
Texas.
yeah.
Oh man,
That's
did
not
that?
a fun season for Florida.
Yeah, I'd say that's not a fun one next year.
But I just think there is a very real scenario here where we're talking about
Next year they might.
Florida with 5 wins. That Billy Napier has 6 wins and then 5 wins. Back-to-back losing seasons, and they're losing recruits. I mean, they had a ton of recruits for the Charlotte game.
They had a bunch of recruits for the Tennessee game, though. I do
Yeah, a
know.
bunch of people showed up for that Tennessee game. Yeah, you're right. But I do know they had specifically two
Jeremiah
guys
Smith was there.
2 guys committed to Florida State who went to the Charlotte game,
There was
and then they
Jeremiah Smith
posted
was
on their
there, who's
Instagram.
an Ohio State guy. I
Yeah.
know. He was one of the top receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same story. And, that's just how it is. It's just going to be if they fall behind, that's just it. But
Yeah.
we'll see how the season goes. They get Vanderbilt this week, so they should take care of it. In theory, they did lose last year. But they're at home. It's homecoming weekend. They should be fine.
I wonder how that game's going to go. Because, if they lose that game.
If they lose to Vanderbilt, there will be
I
a
think there's a
riot
chance.
outside. I will go outside the
I'll be there
stadium.
we can hang
And
out.
we're gonna see how the riot start fire wanting his head chopped off.
I do think there's a legitimate chance if they lose to Vanderbilt that Billy Napier gets fired on Sunday the 8th.
If they lose to Vanderbilt,
Which sounds crazy.
they might put him in
but,
you have to either you beat South Carolina or
Mhm.
you're gone at the bye week.
Yeah.
So figure it out. That's what that would be, I think.
I don't know, because the thing is, I think that the football program, not just the football, but the athletic program, just what's the right way to say this?
The AD at Florida needs gone.
Yeah, I think
They
I
have
was talking.
struggled as an athletic department for years now. If you exclude their gymnastics program
and their baseball program.
Even their baseball program.
Yeah.
You know how many titles Florida has as the baseball program?
They have one, right?
They have one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2017.
But I think the best way to describe Florida's athletic department right now is that they want the trophies without putting in the effort to build the program.
Yeah. If you exclude gymnastics and swim, which are successful, but we don't consider that a major sport.
That's not a sport that you make significant. The school doesn't make money from those.
You make money for the university with that giant stadium in the middle of Gainesville, Florida.
I just don't see, if they lose to Vanderbilt.
If they lose to Vanderbilt, I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna go. They're gonna tell him the most just obvious choice would be finish out the year.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
what it is.
Yeah.
What I would do if I'm that desperate is say, listen, you have to. If you don't beat South Carolina, you can turn in your stuff for going into the bye week. We'll find a guy to finish out the year.
I just think if they lose to Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and Georgia, they lose 4 games in a row, right? They get their home game against Arkansas. That place will be almost empty. It'll be.
I don't think it will, because it'll be those
empty.
are the blackout jerseys they're wearing that day.
Is that the game they're wearing blackout jerseys?
I'll be at the game. They're wearing the blackout jerseys that day.
I just don't know if they lose.
Well, it's a funeral
in a row.
It's the funeral.
Their funeral?
Well, they're wearing the black jerseys.
Oh.
It's their funeral. Because
I just can't see. I could see this getting so ugly so quickly for Billy Napier, because I think you lose to Vanderbilt, every bit of goodwill you've done this season in beating Tennessee is gone, like that.
It is.
There's a chance they let him finish out this season, and if he loses to UGA, LSU, and Florida State, he has 1 win against Florida rivals in 2 years.
We'll see. I think they're gonna be. I think they'll be 5-2 heading into the Georgia game. And if you're a Florida fan, then I think you take that. Well, that's the best case scenario. We're gonna leave it there.
Yeah,
that's the best case scenario. The worst is they could be 3-4 going into it, but we're gonna say the best case scenario. As far as Kentucky goes, before we move on, because we've been focusing all on Florida, Kentucky, huge game going into Athens this weekend. They are 5-0.
Yeah.
Those two teams are going to play and have a leg up on who's going to have winner of that is going to have a leg up on the SEC East race.
Yep.
You have Missouri right behind there. I have the standings pulled up right behind them at 5-0 as well.
Yeah.
But right now, Georgia and Kentucky play each other. They're both 2-0 in conference play. So Georgia, I think, lucks out a little bit this year. They get them at home. They had to go to Kentucky last year. That was a weird one, but they won 16-6, I think was the final. It was a weird 16-9, maybe it had been like that, but a weird game. And but listen, if Ray Davis, Georgia has struggled against the run a little bit this year, and if they can't slow down Davis, they are in for a day because I
Yeah.
think if you're Georgia, and we'll talk about this on Thursday, but just quickly looking ahead, like Devin Leary has been prone to throw turnovers, and they
Yeah.
haven't asked him to do a lot. And I think if Georgia can get to a spot where they can limit Kentucky on the run game, like they usually have been recently in the past,
Yeah.
Put the ball in Devin Leary's hands and see what he can do.
Mhm.
If Devin Leary goes out and slings the ball around, you know who the last 4 quarterbacks were that beat Georgia? Kyle Trask, Mac Jones,
Yep.
Joe Burrow, and Tua no, not Tua. Well, Tua Tagovailoa did win, but
Yeah.
it was Bryce Young. 4
So
guys,
4 NFL quarterbacks.
4 4 NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we can talk about starters. We can lean.
I mean, I don't say starters because
We won't
it
say
makes Kyle Trask looks bad.
Well, Mac Jones now too. Anyway,
He'll be a starter again.
but
Don't
4
worry.
legit stardom games.
Mhm.
Can Devin Leary do that? We're gonna find out, but that's only if they can't run the ball. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it there for as far as before we get into Thursday's preview. But that'll be a fun one. That's 7 o'clock on ESPN. I think Georgia's right now a 15-point favorite, which is I would be tempted even
That's
as a Georgia
too
fan.
high, man.
Even as a Georgia fan, I was thinking today. I'm like, man, that's tough.
That's
How do you
so
not
high.
lean the way Georgia's been playing recently? It's like, how do you not take the points there with Kentucky? The
Yeah.
public will be all over the Kentucky Wildcats, I think.
Mhm.
All right. I think we're ready for overreaction time.
Yep.
As if we haven't done it enough yet today. Because, just last couple of segments.
Yeah.
But we're ready for overreaction or no. And as always, I got a couple statements here that might shock you, everyone. And Dylan will say something, and Hunter will be right. Anyway,
Okay.
Washington, and I think we kind of talked about this, Washington and
Mhm.
Oregon is going to expose this USC team.
No.
Yes.
There's no exposing to do. We know their defense isn't good.
Well, they're going to expose them, and I mean,
Mhm.
beat them, in a sense.
No, but I think
They're going to hang a bunch of points, they're going to stop them, and they're going to win.
I'm gonna wait.
So you're going to say overreaction?
Yeah, I'm gonna say overreaction. I'm gonna wait because I think if USC beats Notre Dame, flips everybody on their head.
Well, depending on how they win.
Yeah.
If they win a low-scoring game, that's one thing. But
I just
until
think
I see anything different from that defense, I'm going to lean to my side. I'm going to die on that hill that says that defense is going to cost them 3 games this year.
Okay.
Possibly 4. They might go
Okay.
8-4.
Okay.
Have fun sitting at the Las Vegas Bowl or something like that. Oh. Brock Bowers, Dylan, must be on the Heisman ballot this year.
No, not an overreaction. I just think, I think he might get unlucky
He
because
has
of
to
how
be.
many. There's just so many players.
He's going to win the Mackey Award. It should be for the 3rd straight year in a row. It's going to be for the 2nd year in all likelihood because I can't. There's not a better tight end out there that can do as much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna suck because you have Caleb Williams putting up better numbers than the year he won the Heisman. You have Michael Penix Jr. putting up incredible numbers. You got Bo Nix doing incredible stuff. There's so many guys.
There
We're
should
all
be
putting up numbers that are unbelievable.
There should be a rule, no matter how many good quarterbacks there are, unless you're going to unless you need to expand the finalists, which I don't like.
No,
I think
no.
for they at 3 or 4 now.
4.
I think 4 is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many good quarterbacks there is, regardless of there needs to be at least one non-quarterback position person, minimum one.
But it's at that point that's just a pity pick then.
No, it's not because
it's like Chase Young that one year. Like Chase Young never had a chance.
Marvin Harrison last year.
Yeah, I think wide receiver is because a wide receiver can be,
Devontae Smith was the first person to win the award since that wasn't a quarterback since what was it?
Derrick
you can't
Henry.
say you can't. Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say you can't say Reggie Bush, but
yeah, Derrick Henry Derrick Henry 2015, and then
there hasn't been a defensive winner since there hasn't been a defensive person to win it since Charles Woodson. That was 98,
97?
I think. 98.
Or I thought that was 97.
I thought it was 98 because that was when Manning went off.
No, because Tennessee won in 98.
Oh.
Without Manning.
Tough. Hate to see it.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say though is that I feel like at that point people would say it's a pity pick, right? Like they bring
Maybe,
in, like I said, Chase Young that 1 year. Chase Young
but
never had a chance to
but I
beat Joe
feel like
Burrow
at
for the
this point,
Heisman Trophy.
but I feel like everyone's kind of like, okay, it's just a quarterback award.
But I think the reason people say it's a quarterback award is because quarterbacks just have the ability. They're
And
the most
that's
important player on the field.
and
It's
you can't
hard for you
control
not to
that.
pick one. You can't
Exactly.
control it. But for a player who's not a quarterback to get up there and be
You
unpicked,
could say
they
some
have to have an incredible season.
you could say some quarterbacks that get in there too is also like a pity. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
No, absolutely. I think every year that you have, there's like one or two guys who really have a shot, and then everybody else, it's like,
I mean, everyone's gonna
like,
complain all the time about who the finalists are, but it's
like,
like,
I was a big Kenny Pickett fan that 1 year, but I got to be honest, it was kind of embarrassing when he showed up in New York and everybody was like, he doesn't have a shot though.
well, Stetson Bennett last year. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. That I feel so bad for Stetson with that because I think in his heart he knew he never had a chance, but that
well, I
Georgia
don't really
fans
think he
argued
cared.
so
I
much.
think he just cared more about winning a title.
No, but I think just showing up to New York, he was like, I'm wasting so much time
That's a
coming out
great
here to New
recruiting,
York.
but that's a great recruiting now thing you can use.
Yeah, you could go to New York for throwing 20 touchdowns in a season.
See our tight end? Yeah, he's gonna be at New York
hmm
in the Heisman post.
I think we'll see. I mean,
He
I think
needs to be.
if he keeps playing the way he is.
There's not a college
Sure.
football. You could ask any college football
hmm
fan out there, and they
Yeah.
will. And if they don't say he is, then they're not watching enough.
hmm
They don't know him enough.
They don't know ball.
They don't know ball. They don't know
Yeah.
ball. They're
Yeah.
casuals. Anyway, those what those two people do? They celebrate in the off season. They are the fall weddingers.
Yeah.
Just despicable casuals. All right, Dylan. Here's
Mhm.
one for you.
Okay. Okay.
Here's one. Ready?
Mhm.
I'm gonna pull up real quick the excuse me 1 second. Here we go. West Virginia, Dylan. The
Ooh.
Mountaineers,
Ooh.
4-1 West Virginia, will sneak into the Big 12 title game.
Overreaction.
Okay.
Nobody's even gonna come close to Oklahoma and Texas.
So
They're
I
only
think
one of them's gonna lose to Oklahoma or Texas and then not lose another game.
a slight overreaction for me too.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
you look at their schedule. They avoid Texas.
Yep.
They avoid who else do they avoid? Crap. 1 second. Apologize, guys. This is just
Mhm.
can't happen. They avoid Kansas State. They avoid
Yep.
Texas. They avoid Kansas. They've already beaten Texas Tech.
Mhm.
They've beaten Texas or TCU.
Yep.
They get Houston 2-3,
Mhm.
Oklahoma State 2-2,
Yeah.
UCF 3-2, who just despicably and I
That
don't know
was a
how
horrible blown lead.
lost. They were up 35-7, I think.
In the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left.
That's just
They gave up
awful.
a 28-point lead with 7 minutes left. I don't even think that was possible.
They got BYU and
Mhm.
then Oklahoma, and then
Yeah.
they finish off with Cincinnati and Baylor.
Mhm.
That's not a bad. They might. What if they pull off and they beat Oklahoma? They
I
roll
mean,
into Norman, Neil Brown, and the Mounties just go in and win, and they sneak into the title, Big 12 title, and get clobbered by Texas.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I think that that's not the craziest thing in the world because I
They
think
get the
West Virginia's not bad this year, but
they get the Dana. They got a Dana Holgerson revenge game Thursday.
yeah, yeah.
Dana Holgerson revenge game at Houston Thursday night. FS1, folks. Screw Thursday night football because you know who's playing Thursday night football in the NFL? Commanders, Bears. So let's tune on over to
Oh, let's go to
FS1.
West Virginia. Come on, man. We're gonna
FS1, we're
watch the
taking
Bears
Mountaineers,
0-5.
baby.
Actually, though, I really might want to check out the Bears' quest for 0-17. Like that
Maybe.
might actually be genuinely an impressive watch because I don't
Maybe.
think it's impossible.
And maybe
I
they'll
think it's
slowly start.
legitimately could happen.
I think they might slowly just start sending people home like they have been with Chase Claypool. They'll start with him, and then they'll maybe move on to the rest of the receiver group.
I know this is a little bit off topic because it's NFL and we're a college football podcast, but the fact that the head coach got called out for lying about Chase Claypool is the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard.
That's just the Bears.
It's like, oh my
The
god.
Bears.
I gotta be honest. They're not like they're gonna lose every game on their schedule.
They'll struggle to win a few.
Like, I think the easiest game they have left is the Panthers.
Yeah. I'll
Brutal.
finish off with the Mountaineers.
Mhm.
Is I do legitimately like watching West Virginia succeed. I think college football is
Yeah.
better when they're relevant.
I just
I
think
mean,
they need
dude, they could roll into
upgrades on the
what if
stadium.
they go to UCF
Mhm.
Saturday the 28th? What if they're
Yeah.
6-1? Might be ranked. Mountaineers back.
Mhm.
Mountaineers are back. Maybe.
I mean, there's a chance that the Oklahoma game is a ranked matchup.
I mean, they win. They don't score a lot, but they
Yep.
they play decent ball.
Mhm.
They don't make the mistakes they have been in the past up to this point. Neil
Yeah.
Brown will still make a Neil Brown decision here or two, but listen, they're playing they're playing good defense and they're scoring enough points to win. That's all you got to do in this game. You win, just win, baby, just win. You know, I mean, not doing a whole lot, but they're winning. They're putting up W's instead of L's. So,
Yeah.
and Neil Brown's saving himself for another year. Mountaineer. I don't know if Mountaineer fans are excited about that or not, but listen, 4-1, 4-1 Mountaineers, Big 12 title game. Here we go. Anyway, all right, last one here before we get into
All
winners
right.
and losers.
Yep.
The winner of Alabama versus Texas A&M this week, Dylan,
Mhm.
will be the winner of the SEC West.
Not an overreaction. I think it's just
That's what I'm leaning
Yeah.
towards that now.
Mhm.
I'm still questioning Bama,
There's
but
just there's
I
just
think
this weird scenario where there's 4 teams with 1 loss. You know what I mean?
could be.
Like there's a legitimate chance
They're
that
gonna they're gonna pull a
that
Pac-12 and eat each other alive and play like demolition derby with each other and just knock each other
yeah.
out.
Like I legitimately wonder what the tiebreaker is if in a hypothetical situation, let's say Alabama beats A&M, right?
Yeah.
LSU beats Alabama, but they win all the rest of their games. So each team at the top of the SEC West has 1 loss in conference. And
Dude,
it's like, oh my gosh.
Max Johnson's playing good ball, dude. I watched
Yeah,
that
he is.
A&M game, and it might be more Max Johnson kind of refiguring himself out after he struggled last year.
Mhm.
Maybe it's Bobby Petrino's there just calling up offense. I mean, their offenses look solid this year,
Yeah.
and that's going to be a great game. I think A&M's going to beat them.
Mhm.
But I do think Bama found something that second half of that Ole Miss game, which was carried into that great win they had over Mississippi State. It's
Mhm.
at Starkville. Call it what they will, that game. But for a team that's been struggling some offensively, they
Yeah.
put up 40 on them. So, you know, now they had the biggest game of the rest of their schedule is this weekend because the rest of the games they
Mhm.
get at home. So this is their biggest game. And we're going to see what kind of game offense we're going to see out there because are we going to see them take advantage of an A&M defense that almost let Miami hang half 100 on them, or
Yeah.
are you going to see A&M force turnovers and limit Jalen Milroe again like he did last year? So
Mhm.
not an overreaction, though. Not an overreaction. All right. We're going to move on to winners and losers. But before we do, make sure to subscribe because we are getting in the heart of college football and we are giving
Yeah.
you our best takes, going over all the top games, and giving you great previews for everything. So you don't want to miss it because the content is good.
Mhm.
Just got a new rebranding, college football talk with Hunter and Dylan. Like, you don't want to miss
Mhm.
it, guys. I mean, don't want to miss it. If you guys take a look here at the excuse me, new YouTube page too. Oh, there it is. I mean, look at that. Brand new,
Beautiful. Absolutely
redesigned
beautiful.
logo up top. You can find
Mhm.
us at College Football Talk. That's just Hunter, my last name, Dylan with his last name. Find us on there. I believe if you type in Knowles and Dogs podcast, which was our last which was the old name, it
Yep.
will still pull up our channel. So
It should, yes.
you got two ways to find us. I mean, that's
Mhm.
awesome. So,
Absolutely.
but make sure you guys are subscribing, guys, because we got new talk, new rebranding, new everything.
Mhm.
Again, stuff stays the same, but new look, which feels good. It feels good to
Yeah.
be. It's like getting like a new outfit. You just feel good in it.
Mhm.
And now here we are. So,
Yeah.
But make sure you guys are subscribing because we're trying to get to 100 subscribers, but we can't do it alone. We need you guys to go out there and subscribe. But
We need
most
your help to
importantly,
get this done.
yeah, get that thumbs up too. More likes,
Yeah.
guys, more likes, and keep watching. So we appreciate it. All right, let's move on now to our final segment before we wrap up this recap.
Yeah.
Winners and losers of the week. My winners are Brock Bowers for what he did this weekend. Completely took over that game in that second half and
went off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a better way to describe it.
No, he completely took over and showed why he is one of the best players, best overall players, in my opinion, in the country.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin finally got his win. He needed a win. He got it. And then, as a little sprinkle on top, Neil Brown gets 4-1. Call it an overreaction to this point, maybe. But listen, you were on the hot seat going into the year. Many people, including myself, didn't think you'd last at this point.
Yeah.
You hung enough. You hung around enough with Penn State, who won again this week. You know, you beat your rival Pitt after a bonehead decision last year in which you screwed the game for them, for your team. You take down Texas Tech at home, who you hadn't beaten in a while, and then you go to TCU, who's the national runner-up. Call it what you will, but they were the national runner-up in the conference and everything. To TCU, where you haven't won there in a while either. And you go in and win. Block 2 kicks. Great win. You're 4-1. Can you keep the momentum going? That's what we'll find out. But good job for Neil Brown.
Yeah.
Who are your winners?
I also did say Lane Kiffin, but my bigger answer was Texas. You know, Texas got to play Kansas, and I think a lot of people were immediately assuming this is Texas's trap game. This is the game Texas will struggle in. I mean, people make jokes all the time about Texas can't beat Kansas, that Kansas is Texas' kryptonite, and they kind of just beat down Kansas as hard as possible.
So I do agree. The only thing I'll just say is Jalen Daniels did get hurt.
Yeah.
In the beginning of that, so call that what you will. I don't know how much of a difference that would have made, but he did get hurt.
Yeah.
Probably ruined my shots at the over, but that's a different story.
Jalen Daniels, I forget what that quarterback's name is.
Jackson or Bean
Jackson.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a crazy touchdown that happened.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. But, yeah, that's what I had as my 2 winners. I had Lane Kiffin for the exact same reasons you did. I mean, it was just something we both talked about, that he needed a marquee win to prove that, hey, the program is going in a good way, good direction, that have a strong vision for what we can do. Bam, he proved it. Beat number 13 in the country.
Big time.
Yeah.
All right, my losers. LSU. 2 losses before October.
Yeah.
Somehow staying in the top 25. I don't make the rules, but I think there's some other teams that are well deserved of those top or ranking, and they're not one of them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are we doing? Your offense looks great, but the defense doesn't, and it's just weird from a Brian Kelly team where it seems like they've been so balanced throughout the years at Notre Dame, and now that's just like, what?
Yeah.
So that was my first loser, and then USC. Poor old USC. You were supposed to come in and just crush this team. You let the foot off the gas pedal, which led them to almost come back and beat you. And now you face questions that you faced all year because defense can't stop anybody. The offense is as good as it's always been. But again, that's not the offense is never the issue. It's been the defense. The defense is in my opinion, they're going to lose multiple games this year.
Yeah.
I don't care how many points that offense scores. If the defense can't stop anybody, they're going to eventually slip up, and they're going to do it, I think, a couple times. So that's why I think you can't, you're a 22-point favorite. Come on. You're up 34-7. No, you got to just keep it down. But those are my losers.
Okay. So my losers, number 1, I had Billy Napier. Just an embarrassing loss to Kentucky. I mean, this is the longest streak Kentucky's had against Florida since the 70s.
Can you believe Florida won 31 times in a row? Is
That's
that
what
what
I'm
it was?
saying. Yeah, 31 straight.
How did Florida do that?
I don't know. I think it's more shocking how Kentucky lost that many times.
That's
Like you think
true too.
one year Kentucky would have just had a,
I do. Kentucky pretty bad.
they had NFL quarterbacks a couple years in between those too.
I don't know. Kentucky's pretty bad early the 2000s.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Stoops got
still.
there and he helped revitalize that place, but before that, I mean, they're a little shaky.
And then my number 2, I had Spencer Rattler for his comments about the Tennessee
Super
game.
Bowl.
Now, I don't know how you feel, but I don't think anybody on the planet would consider playing South Carolina to be a team Super Bowl.
No,
I don't
but
even think if I played South Carolina in a bowl game, I would be like, man, this is like our Super Bowl. I'd be like, oh, we're playing South Carolina. It's been a bad year.
yeah.
I mean, it's just an embarrassing comment. It makes him look like a loser, like a legitimate, man, they only played hard because this is their Super Bowl. What? Like, what?
They they're so he's just so what's the word I'm looking for?
Like, in his own world.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, they're so quarterback driven by that team is that, like, they can't do anything unless he's, like, doing somewhat well, and so,
Yeah.
when he's not on, it just shows, like, what's happened Tennessee,
Mhm.
they can't excuse me, they can't do anything, but those comments are just kinda funny because of what
Yeah.
happened last year. But Tennessee fans getting all pissy about it. It's like, he hung that same quarterback who put only, like, 169 yards on you,
Mhm.
put 63 on you guys last year.
Yeah.
So, take that, there you go.
Yeah. But that's all my losers this year. Or
This
this
year.
week, sorry.
This year.
Yeah. I'm done with losers.
That's
I
a
quit.
that's a this year's worthy moment right there seeing the Super Bowl, but
Oh my gosh.
so, all right. We have finally reached the end. It's late.
Very long episode, but I think it was needed for, the first episode with the new
Yeah.
new rebrand, letting people understand how this show works. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta listen. Did we get off topic some? Yeah, but
Yeah,
listen, we
but
have to do that. That's what podcasts are about. We're not time
mhm.
stamping us.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I just rant. Dylan just has to sit there and take it all.
No, I mean we went crazy there on the USC Colorado segment there, talking about
USC.
USC. I think we legitimately, I was looking at the clock here. I think we went on like a 15-minute like sidebar about that.
I mean, you had
About
to
USC schedule.
because you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about Florida. I felt like I was kind of defending Florida a little bit. Not really, but kind of. I mean, you were just trying
Kind
to
of.
bash on him.
I mean,
That
I
was
just
that
think,
enter this coming out.
yeah, but I mean, you had the inner living in Gainesville coming out defending them.
First of all, I have been every day now. I just
Mhm.
picture what we're about to do to them in Jacksonville. I just picture it now,
I mean, I
and
feel like
it's gonna be fun.
the same way that, like, there's a Florida account on Twitter,
Yeah,
and their banner is a game from a couple years ago when Florida beat Florida State 40-17. Like, that's their banner.
damn. That's
So,
like
like,
their one shining moment.
yeah, so I'm just like, I just want to redo that to them. Like, this year, we have a great squad. Like, I don't want to seem biased, but all I'm gonna say is, man, I'm hoping we could get a banner like that up.
So you or
Mhm.
well, actually, you guys haven't been really relevant as of late. But I was gonna say you could show them your most recent title, which is 5 years before 5 years
More
after.
recently than they did.
Yeah,
I'll say we've actually been to the playoff before.
twice. Wait,
No, only once.
once. That's right. You guys lost.
But this year,
Although
was a
Dylan
solid show.
Dylan doesn't want to remember that Oregon game, but
I mean, look, that was so long ago now. It doesn't even. I mean, we got back at them. We took their head coach, and then didn't work out for either of us.
oh
So,
Willie,
yeah.
oh Willie T.
Mhm.
Wasn't he at USF?
Yeah, he was at USF, got hired at Oregon, and then left Oregon after one season for Florida State.
and then completely dug them into the ground.
Yeah, I think he was just way over his head. But I think it's time to go to bed, man. I gotta wake up early tomorrow.
Listen, there's no sleep. Don't be a casual, Dylan. Come on, we're all about this.
No
One team, one
sleep.
dream.
Come on.
No sleep. That's exactly no sleep. No rest for the weary.
Oh my gosh.
No rest for the weary. But all right. But we will get out of here. Make sure you
Yep.
guys are subscribing to the channel,
Yes.
as I've said previously, again and again, because we need more subscribers. Watch us on YouTube. New episode will be out. Our week 6 preview will be out Thursday evening, as it usually is.
Yeah.
And hope you guys enjoy the video. Peace out.
See you guys.